Hey, welcome to another morning coffee with Trevor. I'm your host, Trevor Matthews, and I want to thank everyone once again for taking the time to spend with me, have a coffee, and talk about refrigeration. It's been a lot of fun over the last few days, and I just feel that sharing my knowledge, having great people come on and share some of their experiences, really been helpful for me and my mission on serving the refrigeration industry, helping refrigeration professionals, helping refrigeration technicians out there. And I see a lot of growth happening within myself, even over the last 6, 7, 8 days of doing this. So I really want to appreciate, and I really appreciate everyone taking the time to spend here. Today, we're going to talk about a few different things. Over the last 8 days, we talked a lot of technical topics, and I want to kind of get into some personal development as a refrigeration professional, personal development as a technician, because I believe that's very, very important. And it's an area that we don't talk about a lot as, as field technicians, even as refrigeration professionals. When you start to spend more years in refrigeration, you start to, I believe, you get more experience, you grow up a little bit more, maybe, and you want to develop different skills. When I was in the field, I never ever thought, and nobody ever talked to me about, okay, Trevor, what do you want to do after you're a technician in the field after 10, 15, 20, 25 years? I wasn't thinking that there was other options out there. I never even thought of that. It only came to me to a point when I got in my life where, wow, I've been working 14, 16 hours a day, 6 days a week on call all the time for years out of town. And I was starting to have children. And I'm like, well, I've worked with technicians, I work with guys in the field for 20 years. And I remember having the conversations where they said, I've missed so many vacations with my family, or I've missed so much time on my kids growing up, or I've been divorced many times just because they've worked those hours that I was working. And I never thought there was anything else until that moment when I realized, wow, like I don't want to be working this 80, 100 hours a week. And you don't have to do that. Don't get me wrong. You can work your 40 or 50 hours a week. You make an amazing amount of money doing that. But I got to a point where I want a little bit more. Like, what's next? And I don't see a lot of people talking about this, like preparing. I don't see a lot of companies preparing technicians for the next step after they do 10, 15 years in the field. And I talk to so many technicians, mid 30s, early 40s, be like, Trevor, I spent all these years, working as a technician, got a lot of this technical skill. And now what's next? Like, I'm not prepared to become a service manager. Nobody taught me to be a manager or in sales or project manager. And I really believe we need to work at our own careers, but understand what is going to be the next step of your refrigeration profession. And I think that's very, very important to start thinking about early on in your career, where I didn't think of that. I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking more of me, and how do I make more money per hour? How do I get more hours? And how do I kind of, make money to spend money? But I wasn't thinking about down the road, where do I want to see myself in refrigeration? Because refrigeration is a massive industry and there's so many angles that you can go that I didn't know about. I used to think, you could be a service manager maybe and sales and project manager, but that was about it for me. That's probably what I thought about for the next step. And, a lot of these positions that you're going to transition to, you're going to be making less money than as a technician. I'm just going to tell you right now, all the moves I made from a technician to a new role is a lot of times you're going to start making less money. But over time, when you build those skills and you get better, you can make more money. But you don't think if you're making, 80, 100, 120, 130, all of a sudden you're going to get a service manager job at 140,000. Service managers get paid less than technicians. I didn't think that when I was a technician, but they get paid less than technicians because technicians, you're out there day in, day out. You get sometimes overtime or double time or whatever it is that you get paid, but you're out there working the hours, pounding away. Those service managers work those hours too, but they're usually on a salary, a lot of the times. And over the years, they can start to build up their wage or their salary, but you definitely don't start there. But what you need to do is kind of plan or work on some things that maybe you can work towards. Because at 35, at 40, it was really hard for me to take a total shift when I went and worked for a manufacturer, because I was nervous, I was scared. Will I do well? Will I not do well? All I know is technical stuff. And it took me a lot of years to work towards that, and you can do it, but it's a lot of it is personal development. And you should spend a lot of time on it, but start out with a little bit of personal development. And all the successful refrigeration professionals I know, they started somewhere. A lot of them were technicians in the field and then moved into more of a management role or a sales role, a project manager role. And same with them. Well, I don't know anything about sales. I don't know anything about public speaking. I don't know anything about, or I don't like being project manager. I see what they do. But if you haven't tried it, how do you know? Because you're looking from the outside and there's a lot of optics and stuff. But when you get in it might be something you really like by bringing value to customers again, because that's what I love doing as a technician, is going out, fixing equipment and talking to the customers and explaining to them what happened. And they're like, wow, like I had 3 or 4 technicians here and you fixed it, and you fixed the problem. And that's really what was helpful for me. But it's no different in these other roles where you want to serve the customer as well. Or if you're a service manager, helping the technicians, how do I help them grow faster, get better, and be, enjoy their job? That's one of the big things. If you can really enjoy your job on a day-to-day basis and have more confidence, less stress, that's what it's all about. One of the things that I did back in 2015 that really changed the way I've looked at personal development was I took a course called Dale Carnegie Public Speaking, because I took this role with the manufacturer, and one of my roles was to go and talk to customers more, talk to more business owners and of refrigeration and HVAC companies. And that was something that I was not very good at. I was nervous to talk in front of people. I was nervous to get up in front of people and talk. Even just talking to one-on-one, I was okay with that, but definitely getting up in the groups of people. And I took this course back in 2015, and I didn't know what to expect. And when I took it, it really changed my mindset. And I was nervous doing it because I would have to get up in front of a group of people and, act funny sometimes, or talk about something, have a presentation. There's something else called Toastmasters. It could be the same thing. Because I would always get nervous having those, be in front of people talking about stuff. And it really learned me how to prepare. It really learned me how to prepare for certain conversations and learning about what other people are looking for as well, when you're having a conversation. And I really recommend, as a technician, as a refrigeration professional, find different things that are going to help you break out of that, uncomfortable zone, because that was something I was really struggling with, and I'm still working on it. I'm still working on how to, talk in front of people more, present more in front of people, and be better with my words, right? Because for years I would be like, and I still do that, but I practice at it and I get better, and you work at it. I had a post on LinkedIn last week or this week, and a guy named Richard Rusk, I believe his name is, because I put this exact conversation up there. He was like, Brian Tracy, who is another professional out there, business professional, helping entrepreneurs grow, and motivational speaker. He said, Richard said that what Brian said was, invest 3% of your earnings into personal development. Like 3% is not a lot, of your finances. And if you can do that, where will you be in a year? where will you be in 2 years? There's so many books that I've been reading over the last 2 years, because once again, that's something I didn't do. Reading, I didn't like reading. I didn't take the time to learn how to read because I was bad at it. It took me a long time to read a paragraph. And then I had to read it again and again and again and again, just to get what it meant. Now, almost 3 years into reading, I can read faster, I comprehend more. And this is by practicing, by reading books and learning how to learn. Jim Quick has a great book, Limitless. That's one of the books I've read that's helping me how to read faster. So I can read technical documents faster and understand them. Another one was a 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. It talks about how to read faster and comprehend faster. And I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know I could read faster. But practicing over the last 2 or 3 years on personal development books really has helped me out. Woo! A lot of talking happening. How's everyone doing this morning? What do you guys do for personal development? How do you guys get to the next level for yourselves? Anybody out there?
Yeah, I started a new position. My new position here at Coolsys is manager of technical troubleshooting and training. And I was having a real rough time trying to figure out if I was actually doing a good job. It's different as being a technician. You go out there, you fix the shit, that you fixed it, customers happy, everyone else is happy, and you leave. Having an office type role where it's just, no one's going to tell you every day, hey, good job. You know what I mean? So like, one of the hardest things I've found, I had to, basically set goals for myself daily to feel like, I was actually accomplished. It was giving me debilitating anxiety. You know what I mean? I not to sound like a pompous asshole, but like, I know I'm a good technician. But as far as what I'm doing in the role of what I'm doing as far as training, it's hard. There's no clear cut metrics on, increasing development as far as training. There's so many things in it. So it's hard to track your performance. You know what I mean? And that was one of the biggest things I've had a hard time with. So reading, I read a book, stop worrying about everything, because that was one of my biggest problems. I was worried about everything. Am I doing a good job? And I just kind of had to take a step back and just look outside in and talk to, if you move up to a different position, whether it be service manager or corporate or whatever have you, make sure you talk to, people that you can consider mentors that, that you can talk to and just say, hey, listen, I'm really kind of struggling with something, just so you don't feel alone in your transition when you are moving up the corporate ladder.
Yeah, and that's great points, because I've had conversations with so many people and so many technicians, the exact same thing. And I struggle with the same thing. Like, am I doing a good job? You know what I mean? Like you just said, as a technician in the field, you fix it and it's up and running, and you know that you did it and you did it in a great time, and you troubleshoot it quickly and correctly, and you talk to the customer about it. Okay, you did well because you're used to that. But now when you're in this new position, it's scary, it's different. Yeah, but you have to start somewhere, and you need to really, like you said, Brett, is a great point, is, find mentors or find coaches or find people that have done that role and ask them the questions. Because I was nervous at first asking those questions to go seek people, seek people to find them. Okay, you've done this role. Like, what were some of the challenges you had when starting out? What are some of the things that, you had to work on? And then you go and try to work on some of that. And you don't have to do it overnight. You just do it step by step, take a little bit of time, and try not to get too overwhelmed, because that's something that I struggle with, is being overwhelmed with the amount of stuff I need to do. I got to learn all this stuff, and I got to learn that it's a new role and it's new this, but just, take those small, simple steps. What about anyone else? What else do you do for personal development? How do you get better at your refrigeration profession, HVAC profession?
That's why we're here, to learn everything we can from you, Trevor.
Oh, thanks, Aaron. Well, hopefully I can share some knowledge that's helping out there. And my whole goal is to, help people get to the next level, be better a bit better tomorrow than today, because that's what I strive for, is to try to be a little bit better tomorrow and try to help other people be a little bit better tomorrow. I want to be, at the end of the day, I want to be better tomorrow. So what do I have to do today to be a bit better tomorrow? Hey, Donald, I see in the chat there you ordered Dick Wert's book. That's a fantastic book. It's going to help your career out, and read through it, go through all the questions. And if you don't have any, if you run into a question that you don't know the answers, reach out to me. I'll get you the answers. I'll give you the answers. But search for the answers. That's one of the big things. They're in the book. And one great thing that Dick did with that book, he put the answers in order. So if you read it over a couple times, you're going to find the answers in those sections. It's not like it's hidden or it's, read between the lines. You read the book and it flows with those questions.
One thing, Trevor, I have to say, one of the things that I've found recently within probably the past 5 to 7 years, the personal development time for a technician is dwindled. A lot of times, because of the technician shortage across the country, but across everywhere, technicians don't have as much time as what they used to, or they're exhausted from having to work so much because of the technician shortage. And people, they just don't read or study or grind as much as, basically what they should, due to the fact that they are trying to keep that family and work life, balance, right?
Yeah. And one way to do it, though, and this is something that I struggle with for a long time, but it's to plan your week or your day or your schedule. And as a technician, you can't always do that, because you could be called out and you're on call, but you do kind of know your schedule. You start at 6 a.m., you're done at 6 p.m., whatever it is, if you're not on call that week, so you kind of know, and you do have kind of a routine. And then you should schedule your time after work, and this is something that I'm still working on. I've talked about this all the time. I'm still working on how to do it, but I have a calendar on my phone. We all have cell phones, you know what I mean? Mobile devices. And setting up a schedule, I spend time with my kids because I schedule it, and I spend that, making dinner for them, or, spending playtime with them, taking them to their activities, or going skating with them now. We went tobogganing last night, but I scheduled that stuff in there. And then I scheduled my chores. I got chores to do around the house, get paying bills, whatever it is. And then I scheduled my personal development. I got in my calendar every night. I read. I try to read for a half an hour. Does it happen for 30 minutes every night? Not all the time. Sometimes I only get 10 minutes. Some other times I'll get 45 minutes, because you still need to get enough rest as well. But scheduling yourself will make the world of difference, because you'll say, okay, it's time to do this, and stick with it. Get into the habit of, and you don't fill your calendar up right away. Do not do that, because it's going to be overwhelming. So next week, just say, schedule, and okay, I'm going to exercise for 20 minutes, or I'm going to read one page of a book, one day, one page, one day. That's it. Not a whole chapter, even taking the book out, and put it beside your desk that you work at, or beside your bed. That's the start. And then slowly build up the skills and those habits, because if you don't schedule yourself, you're just going to kind of drift, because I've done that for years. And then it's just like, I'm tired at the end of the day. I don't want to do anything. Just sit in front of Netflix, or just sit and play a video game until I passed out and fell asleep, which there's nothing wrong with doing that. But if you're doing that 25, 30 hours a week, there's a lot of time that you could be investing in yourself to get that maybe higher paying job, or move in your career. Maybe it's going from a technician to a service manager, sales role, project manager role, or getting a job at a manufacturer, things like that. Aaron, go ahead.
I totally gave up on reading. I just never had the time, and I got really frustrated with it. So I've been really got a good set of Bluetooth headphones, and I just listen to all the refrigeration, air conditioning, heating podcasts and books on Audible. And I've just really been finding time to do that while I do other things. I wish I had that when I was a service tech on the road in between calls and so on. So there's a lot of stuff to listen to while I'm cutting the grass or working or doing other things.
100%. I do the same thing, so if I'm just like that, cutting the grass for sure is one that I'll sit and I'll listen to a podcast, and just try to invest in myself. One thing that I do that's really helpful that I've only started doing the last maybe a year, is when I'm listening to something or reading something, I take notes afterwards. So I literally have a book where I'll write something down to try to remember what I'm reading or listening to, because you're listening to so many podcasts. You need to remember some of that stuff. And for me, remembering stuff is writing it down a couple of times and reviewing it. And maybe I don't review that stuff for 6 months or a year, but if I've written it down, it's kind of learning it again or seeing it again. So I highly recommend anyone who's reading, gets into reading or listening to podcasts, take notes. Try to take notes. And even if you're not good at taking notes, because I'm not very good at taking notes, I'll tell you right now, I usually try to do a verbatim, and that's what I struggle with. So I'm learning how to try to take more point form, the highest quality information. But what you need to do is really kind of take those notes, and you can review them later and see if you can remember what you just listened to. You know what I mean? Because I do that with all the podcasts I listen to. Like Britt's on here, I listen to him and Kevin's podcast. I take notes on some of the stuff that, wow, I didn't see that when I was in the field. This is great. This is some knowledge that I can share with other people. As well as when I'm on podcasts and I'm talking to people and I listen to what they say. I take notes after I've been on a podcast as a guest, so I'll take the notes and I'll write things down that I can share with other people to hopefully help them, be a little bit better at their job or career, or be a little bit better tomorrow. Anyone else? What they do for personal development to help them as a technician, as a career, it's in their personal life even.
I would kind of agree with a lot of what you said already. I have a lot of varied reading material, but actually one thing that really helps me, I'm going to start taking notes. But when you started saying that, something I realized I do is I'll find, especially if there's something new I'm learning, I'll find somebody to talk to about it. And sometimes I'll force my wife to, hey, listen, let me see if I can explain this to you, whatever new function is. Because if I can explain it to somebody, I feel I really understood it then. And so sometimes just because you listen to it or you read it doesn't always mean you really captured it. And so sometimes finding someone to talk to about it. My dad's in the trade, so sometimes I'll call him and we'll just chat about it, or even another technician. There's a few guys from the past I'd call up and we'll just kind of chat about it and I'll tell them that, hey, listen, I think I got it straight in my head. Let me see if I can explain it and if it sounds right.
Yeah, and that's learning it twice too. You know what I mean? So when you take knowledge in, you're learning it that way. But then when you share the knowledge, you're learning it again, right? And it doesn't have to be perfect the first or second time, but you go back and you check, okay, review, research again, ask somebody else, talk about it, train someone, teach someone, and that's how you continue to learn. So Jason says that you miss being out in the field. Well, there's some days I do. There's some days I do miss being out in the field where, I can just go, excuse me, and, help those customers, solving problems, critically think. I'm at a point in my career now where I have other things that I'm trying to solve. And I really am trying to crack the code of how do I help tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of refrigeration professionals out there. So my goal now is to help these field technicians to become the best that they can, and to also learn about the career path, not only, if they want to stay as a technician for 25 years, you totally can, but there's other avenues as well inside this profession. You don't have to leave refrigeration or HVAC to go do something totally different. You can stay in there. There's so many jobs, there's so many opportunities. And then turning wrenches, I do it all the time in my trainings. Like I tear down compressors. That's one part of Refrigeration Mentor, is showing and teaching guys, even though it's sometimes not hands-on, it's over a video, I'm still doing that. And I'm still practicing, homing out things, checking stuff, and just revisiting stuff like that for myself.
Also, a lot of times you can talk to your the company they work for. The position that I have currently basically came about because I was unhappy with what I was currently doing, and what I was doing was becoming monotonous, and I was ready to just leave because I didn't think a company would do anything for what was going to say, go to them and say, hey, I'm bored, I need something else to do. No, I just was going to go the way of Old Yeller and find something else to do. And they were like, well, no, we appreciate you and we want you to stay. And, basically that turned into, now I can work from home, but I can also go out in the field. So I have that split that gives me that home life balance as well. So if you don't know and, ask, the worst thing they're going to tell you is no.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get told no all the time, Brad. And it's if you don't ask, you don't know. So I love that. I love that. Lao says I read the HVAC customer service handbook. It's very helpful. Well, thank you. I don't know if I've read that one, but I'm going to look that one up for sure. What about you, Bill? What do you do for personal development?
That's a good question. I actually just recently hired I would almost call him a life coach, not
Awesome.
specific for HVAC. For my HVAC coaching, I come here, but no, like a life coach is actually helping me form like some of these habits you're talking about, these routines that we're talking about. Like that's where I really had a hard time focusing on and building up these good habits, getting these morning routines. Like I just got done with my morning workout and yoga and all that shit. And it's great. I mean, it's really, really hard to get these habits on your own. So it helps to have somebody there to help you like figure out how you can implement these little baby steps, and you can make these big changes in your life, like scheduling time to read and scheduling time to do things. Like I still struggle with it, but it's slowly come together. By the time I'm like 72, I should have all this stuff ready to go and should be on top of it. But
I love it. And I've had so many over the last 2 years, because I didn't know what coaching was. Maybe you did, but I didn't understand what coaching was, mentoring really was a few years ago. And even though I did have some mentors, I didn't really know that was what was going on until I realized, like, I started getting coaches. I've same thing. I've had a couple life coaches, I have business coaches, refrigeration coaches, lots of them over the last few years. And it's something you need to continue on and work towards. That's awesome. I love hearing that, Bill. Love hearing that.
See, a quick business idea. You should have a monthly subscription and, get a team of guys, or just, dropping a couple bucks every month. And we sit here every morning, have coffee, talk about the business, talk about how to become better technicians.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, that's a great
that,
idea.
You can have it.
Oh, thank you, Bill. Well, you can join. Yeah, how about that? It'll be a team effort. I really believe that technicians, because I didn't know, like you said, I don't know how long you know about coaching, but as a technician, when I did in the field for the 10, 12 years I was in the field, nobody ever said anything about coaching or mentoring. It's something in the skilled trades that people don't talk about. You see that more in the, in the business world and maybe the corporate world, because that's really where I found out about it, and in the skilled trades, they don't talk about that, and I think, man, like my life totally changed from working with coaches and mentors. Totally changed, because they're taking their experience, their knowledge, their wisdom, and as a mentor, and helping you grow quicker. And then life coach is really kind of, for me anyway, a life coach was really them making me think differently. They're not really telling me what to do or how to do. I'm telling them what I should be doing, and then start working towards it, and then get rid of those shoulds and do it. You know what I mean? So there's no more shoulds happening. And that's really what a life coach is kind of getting you thinking, for me anyway, was getting you thinking and telling them, well, I want to be working out, 4 or 5 times a week. And then you tell them, and they'll ask you, well, how's that been going? And you're like, I've been doing it. Oh, fantastic. You know what I mean? Give you that motivation to continue on. And that's what I really liked about it.
You know, for me, the idea of moving into this this life coach situation, it was different because my whole career is nothing but problem solving. And I had these problems in my life where I found these inefficiencies and these lacking areas. And I was like, well, how can I solve this problem? And it took me a long time to realize that I can't really solve this on my own. This is a skill set beyond me. And then I discovered a life coach, and so far it's been good. It's been good.
Yeah, that's awesome, because we do take a lot on ourselves. Oh, I'm a technician. I can do this. I can figure this out. I can fix a rack, or I can fix a air conditioner, you know, and most people can't. So I can figure this out. But no, there's people that are skilled in that skill, you know, that's what they do to help you grow. And I had a lot of my breakthroughs from having coaches and mentors, a lot of my breakthroughs. Awesome, everyone. I want to thank you all for joining me again today. It's been fantastic. Going to keep going. We've got quite a few more weeks to go of this, and I've been loving it. Thank you so much. Really appreciate all of you, and let's get a conversation going tomorrow. See you later.
See you.